Hi, everyone. My name is Serena Lee, and I'm the co-founder of Book and Author. I'm so excited to have Jay Howe from MetaMetrics with us today to help our authors and publisher communities understand more about Lexile measures. Today, we'll cover a few topics. First, we'll learn more about how educators use Lexile measures to help students learn better. And then we'll learn more about specifically on certified measure licenses so that you don't get a violation of term of use. And then we also have questions from our author members that were submitted earlier, and we'll cover those today. All right, let's start with Jay. Could you introduce yourself and tell us what you do at MetaMetrics?
Absolutely. Pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for having me today. So Jay Howe, I'm in the Pittsburgh area. I'm the Director of Corporate Partnerships here at MetaMetrics. So my responsibility is to work with corporations, typically in the publishing and ed tech world, and embed and incorporate our measures directly into their products.
That's
Traditionally,
awesome.
I've been, just give you some background on, I've had experience in the ed tech and publishing world at Pearson, Cengage, about 16 plus years in the industry, most recently over at Grammarly, and have joined MetaMetrics. I'm very excited to be here.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, so you totally understand like the pain points from a publisher standpoint, and Book and Author represent over 1,000 authors and publishers now. We started in just the early part of 2024, and so really excited for this partnership with Lexile Measures and helping all of our authors be more ready to send their books and sell their books to schools and educational institutions. All
Fantastic. Thank you.
right. So yeah, so going into specifically on how Lexile is used in classrooms, could you tell us a bit about Lexile testing in classrooms and how educators use Lexile measures to gauge the students' reading levels and recommend books for kids to take home and read? How many students typically receive Lexile measures each year in the US?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to help there. So MetaMetrics uses the Lexile for reading and Quantile for math frameworks. I know we're talking about Lexiles today.
Mm-hmm.
Bring meaning to measurement so that educators, parents, and our corporate partners can monitor student progress. So we apply a Lexile measure to two things. First is the learner, next is the content. Educators will use a student's individual Lexile level to match them to content at the appropriate Lexile level. Typically, it's content that is 100 Lexiles below the student's current level to 50 Lexiles above. So this ensures that each student receives personalized content that's challenging but comprehensible for the student. Comprehensible. So we work closely with state departments of educations and hundreds of publishers and ed tech organizations. States will embed our measures into their summative assessments so they can measure student progress over time. Our corporate partners link to and embed our measures into their products so they can provide Lexile and Quantile measures or just so they can provide those measures to the partners and the districts they work with. We work with 21 states at scale who report our measures at the state level through summative assessments, and overall 35 million students receive Lexile and or Quantile measures each year.
Wow, 35 million students. It's so awesome to see what you guys do because students individually they're so unique, but it's so important also to have a systematic way of quantifying their success so that educators can systematically provide resources to them, especially when we're talking about millions of students here. So,
Yeah.
thank you for everything that Metametrics is doing for the education industry. All
Yeah.
right, so let's go in a little bit about, the different accounts that you guys offer and what they do. We know that there is an educator's account that is significantly more affordable than, say, a content creator license and a certified measure licenses. Um, but then, of course, as a creator licenses, there's a lot more benefits that comes with the subscription. Could you walk us through some of the key benefits that would be helpful for authors and publishers to know, and maybe explain the difference between a content creator tool versus a certified measure tool?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
believe there is a little bit of that internal versus external marketing usage there.
Yeah, so you're 100% right. That is a big distinguisher between the content creator and the certified measurement subscriptions. Before I dig in there, the educator account, which you're referencing initially, is accessed through our hub. What that does, it allows educators to select books and resources aligned to a specific Lexile or quantile range, as I mentioned earlier, to ensure the appropriate content is presented to the student. That the hub, though, is not the place that you would go to get content certified or to create or edit content at a
Mm,
specific Lexile level. So there's one differentiator there. Although the hub is a great tool, it has access to the Lexile Growth Planner, which
mm,
can show and track student progress over time. So maybe if you look at a snapshot in third grade where that student is, where we estimate that that student will exit after 12th grade, and are they ready for college and career readiness, in particular, university setting versus community college versus the workforce. Also
mm,
in the hub, you'll see a career database. So we've aligned Lexile and quantile measures with 700 industries and careers. So you can see if you select an industry, what is the minimum Lexile and quantile measure that that particular person would face if they got an entry level position in one of those industries. So all
wow.
that, those are the tools that are inside of the hub or the educator hub there. The
Yeah.
content creator license allows users to create and edit content within a text box that we have and have that content analyzed to produce a Lexile level. So we'll give you the Lexile level of the content. We did recently launch our AI text generator tool, which will allow users to take content and quickly adjust it to a specified Lexile range through the use of AI. So as
Mm,
an example, if you have a particular piece of content that's at a 500 Lexile level, but you need to adjust it to a 1,000 Lexile level for a specific audience, you can select that range, click a button, it will take what you've already produced and just edit it to ensure that that content doesn't change, the meaning doesn't change, but the content then
mhm,
is increased or decreased depending on the audience and the needs that you have for that audience. This tool, as you mentioned, the content creator tool, is used as an internal guide when you're creating content, but it does not allow for the Lexile levels to be displayed publicly. If you
mm,
want to do that, then our certified measure license, so content certification, as we call it, is for customers who want to display the Lexile levels publicly. So, for example, if an author or a publisher wants to have their book certified with a Lexile level, applied to it, they would use a service. It also allows for their books to be searchable in a database by Lexile level, which we can get into a little bit later.
yeah, no, that's just super helpful. Thank you so much for walking me through that. So yeah, since we are talking about the Lexile um tool being available for, say, an author or a publisher's content to be searchable in the database, um, and now, yeah, can you walk us a little bit about that, about this database, about this tool? I think it's called a Find a Book tool, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. So, and it's correct. So, if the book is officially certified by MetaMetrics, so the authors are going to increase their exposure to their titles through our Find a Book tool and through our Lexile titles database, which is used by Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Follett, and booksellers and library automation providers all over the world. So, as I
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, what will happen typically is you'll have a student that is provided a Lexile level. Well, educators come to our hub or use a titles database to find the appropriate book or content for that student based on their Lexile level. If the book that one of your authors has written does not have a Lexile measure certified, it would not show up in that titles database. So you're marketing to roughly 35 million students by having the Lexile level applied to that book or that piece of content.
So basically, if I am only using the internal tool,
Mhm.
the one that you mentioned, the content creator, it does not actually mean that the content is searchable, but because it has to be officially certified before it's on
Yeah,
the Find a Book, right?
that is exactly correct.
Great, great. All right. Well, so, right now the plan is for book and author to represent our author members and paying for the recurring annual renewal of the certification, the licenses. So for authors that are a part of a community and receiving this Lexile measures, this benefit, but then say, sometime later the author decided to leave our platform. Will their content still be searchable in a database?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is subject to change, but currently, once a book is certified, it will remain in our searchable database, searchable by the Lexile level.
That's
So,
great. Yeah, that's great. So for author friends that are tuning in, this is a one-time selection, one-time investment that you have to make. So even if you decided to leave book and author, eventually we want to make sure that your content is still searchable, and still be able to reach the audience that you want to reach. Great. All right. And Jay, so what if somebody got like an uncertified measure, say a range, right? That they download off of somewhere, and then they publish that for marketing purposes because they didn't know before. Yeah, what I guess, officially from MetaMetrics, what do you guys have to say about using?
yeah, absolutely. And thank you for asking that. And it happens from time to time. And a lot of times it's not intentional. It's just one of those things
Yeah.
people didn't know what was, what they were doing, and there needed to be a license applied. So they'd receive a notification to remove the measure from public display. And then unless a measure is officially certified, the Lexile measure is not guaranteed to be accurate, which could
Mhm.
mislead the end user. That's coming up more and more often right now with AI. So some people are asking AI to generate a Lexile level for content. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But even when it does, we've done study after study on it. It's absolutely incorrect, and oftentimes
Yeah.
up by 500 to 600 Lexile levels. So
Wow.
ultimately, if your goal is to hit the audience at that right spot, you want to get your content certified. The only way to get it certified officially is through MetaMetrics.
Wow. Great. Thank you so much for the observation there on you guys' side.
Yeah.
All right, so then with the remainder of the call, we do have, some questions from our author community. Now, some of our authors specifically sell to parents, and they may or may not sell to, specifically to schools and whatnot. So author Helen asked the question, what is the best way to explain the importance of Lexile level to parents, especially new parents?
It's a great question, and it's one, when I started at MetaMetrics, the way that they explained it to me, which it stuck, and I use it today, is by using a shoe analogy. So if you took 10 sixth graders and they all go to a store to buy shoes, each could potentially purchase a different shoe size. So why do we do the same thing with educational content? So just because those same 10 students are in sixth grade together doesn't mean they're at the same level as far as reading comprehension, math skills, maybe if you're looking at quantiles, and it doesn't mean that they learn at the same level. So Lexiles ensure that the students are given the appropriate content for their level, and it allows educators and parents a way to accurately track their progress over time and compare against other benchmarks. So you're forming this benchmark of consistency throughout their educational journey. You can compare progress at, like I mentioned earlier, say third grade compared to how they finished in 11th and 12th grade. Are they on the right track? Did they achieve what they were supposed to? And are they ready for college and career?
Great. All right. Well, thank you. I absolutely love that analogy. I think that's brilliant. All right. The next question is from a publisher named Yobi, and she asked, how do we differentiate what's legit for Lexile measures? The reason it's because, Yobi works with a lot of partners in the industry, and sometimes, there are partners that can claim that they can do this for $10, $35, and others are charging $5,000 or more for her collection of titles. So what are some of the indicator we should be looking out for as authors and publishers when, so that they know that they are not being scammed?
Yeah, it's a good question. And uh, it's almost a case by case basis. I'd have to look at each website, but I would direct your authors to our content creator and content certification sites. Receiving a Lexile measure, as I mentioned, from MetaMetrics is the only way that you can publish that.
Right.
So that's the important piece, is ensuring that the Lexiles are certified. If you ever
Mhm.
have a question, you absolutely can ask me, if that whatever, it's a website or wherever you find it, the Lexile measure. One, if the book was certified, and two, if that site has the ability to publish the Lexile measures. So feel free to ask. I mean, I was always raised with that adage that, if a deal is too good to be true, it probably is. And that's gotten me a few times in my life. So I would just say, if you're looking at the cost comparison, if it's something that seems, a tenth of the cost, then it's probably not a true measure, but feel free to ask anytime.
Yeah, thank you. All right. And then author Tina had a question. How long does it take for to get the levels when go through the certification process? And also, how long does it take for the book to be uploaded to the final book tool? We do have, some comments in the community that says it could take a while for that book to appear to the at the final book tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So when a book is certified, it gets submitted to us. It can take up to 25 business days for us, for MetaMetrics to officially certify it. We average less than 20 business days, though. So I would say within a
Yeah.
month is your typical time frame.
Yeah.
Once it receives its measure, it is immediately published to our Find a Book tool, and
Immediate.
then
Okay.
immediately. And then it's released through our API, which feeds into Amazon, Follett, Barnes& and Noble, et cetera. There may be a little
Mm.
bit of a delay by the time, the API connection happens and when they actually take
Mhm.
that Lexile and publish it or apply it, to their site. So that's up to Amazon, Follett, Barnes& and Noble as to how quickly they do it. But we send that information almost instantaneously to them so they have it.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah. All right. And then the last question that we have that was submitted prior to the call, author Vicky asked, are authors allowed to print these on their covers? Um, and is this something that they can actively advertise and mention to the site if they go through the certification process?
Yeah, we would love for you to do that. So once the license is measured, it's evergreen for you. So once we
Mhm.
certify it, you can display that Lexile measure on the cover, add it to your website, a catalog, wherever you see fit. But that is yours. It's your measure. You paid for it. You've certified your piece of content. It belongs to you.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time and, for answering all of our questions and really appreciate your guidance here to help our authors make better decisions in their journey.
Absolutely.
All
Pleasure to be
right.
here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Okay.